recording this now, and I'll check in again at the end. Okay, so yeah.
So the idea for Quiver, for Cyrus, is that I think he will be from the end of the range of the age allowed. I think he's 18. He finished the secondary school. He was about to go to the college, but he failed to apply to MIT. And I can generally picture Cyrus as the rich kid, as rich as in our neighborhood is possible. So we probably live in the newest building, recently built or something like this. And his dad is quite wealthy, and his dad is like dominating the family and always told him what to do, where to apply, where to go, and so on. And this is for Cyrus the moment to make something by himself, and he really wants. And he sees that there is plenty of crime, and he wants to fight it because that's what he wants, not his dad what he wants. So, and he really wants to do some good. He's a white man, so but he likes to think and help everyone else around him. He's quite naive. When he wears his normal clothes, they are quite stylish, but his costume is damn awful. But man, he thinks it's awesome. So we'll see when he will change it. He got his skills by telling his dad that there's like a hobby project, and so his dad bought him like the top bow from the Amazon, and he pays for some archery training and other stuff. He first. Do you want me to go for the backstory?
No, not yet, please. Just sort of just a broad introduction yet, and then we'll go through the backstory questions.
Awesome.
I think from can I draw everyone's attention though, because Parallel is playing Cyrus is a beacon, right? If you're looking at character keeper in the series, you're going to see that under ability powers and others, the beacon has drives. These are almost I love drives as a move. These are sort of effectively hits that Cyrus is looking to get to advance their character. While there's effort on me to do this as well, I think if there's effort that you can pull into, reject someone who you shouldn't be here, punch someone you probably shouldn't, if you can help set those up as players, I'm really happy for you to help do that as well.
Yes, I will be really grateful. I decided to pick the one that are kind of interesting and general, and then we will go into the more difficult one, like punching a teammate or smooching a teammate. We will get to those maybe in the later part of the series, because it will be interesting.
Exactly so, right? I think it sort of sets tone for us.
I think one thing worth mentioning about Cyrus is that I decided to go with Come Unlucky. So Cyrus has his little dog called Sparky. It's a totally black German Shepherd, extremely well trained. That is usually there with Cyrus. And what's something special about Sparky is that the villains and the bandits are never sure. Is it like someone transformed into a German Shepherd, or is it just a dog? And they are like, usually kind of afraid to give him like the pause or the second to make his move. So he's not maybe really directly helping to fight the supervillains, but just gives him a couple of seconds where they'll think, what is the dog doing here?
Excellent. So, it's just really important for me to visualize in my mind. It's like, does Sparky wear a little bandana or a little domino mask when they're fighting crime?
Yeah. I think Quiver puts, when he has the moment, I think he put the costume over his dog as well.
Yes. Favorite character so far. Cool. Let's go across to Lara and introduce us to Jem then, please.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be playing Jem, they them, and their superpower name is the Nox. So Jem is a pretty normal kid. I mean, they are just trying to like put their head down and try to get through school. They have one sibling, who her name is Kitty. She goes by Kitty. Her full name's Catherine, but she insists that everyone calls her Kitty, which is kind of weird and kind of annoying, but Jem just kind of deals with that. So their abilities, I was kind of liking the idea that they can kind of disappear or kind of disperse into shadows. And so I think that maybe they kind of have the ability to manipulate shadows a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I really like that impossible mobility and substance mimicry for my abilities. I thought that fit in really well. I think those powers kind of developed as Jem grew, just because like Jem's kind of like off to the side. Nobody really notices them. And so I feel like this is kind of a physical manifestation of that feeling. Um, and then, yeah, it just kind of developed from there. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so the Janus has one label that they embody when they put on the mask. Have you chosen which that one
Yes.
is going to be?
I've decided that it's going to be Freak.
Sweet. Leaning into the powers. And the other thing with the Janus is they have the secret identity. So you have to choose 3 obligations from 4 sort of characteristics, which are job, school, home, and social. Had you thought about or gone through those yet?
Yes. I put them under my abilities, powers, and other
Absolutely.
thing.
Awesome.
So surrogate parenting for my little sister. I have a best friend and schoolwork.
Cool. So, great. Do you have a name for the best friend yet?
I'm working on it.
Don't worry, we'll come back and do those on the background questions, and then also identify things like the school and stuff as well. And by last but no means least, Will, can you introduce us to Dynamic?
So Dynamic is the star, and he is, I think he's like first year out of high school, because he was formerly a secret he was formerly a full-on secret identity viral vigilante. Like you'd see him doing that stupid thing on Shazam where they're playing around with his powers and uploading the videos and stuff like that. And as soon as he was out of high school and he was legally able, he unmasked and left behind his family and started to, full on go for the full-on superhero celebrity lifestyle. Big fish in a small pond at the moment, I think.
Cool. So, with the star, they have to attract, retain their audience. They get advantages and demands as a result of that. So, you're a celebrity in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Which one did you choose for the why does the audience love you?
I chose it because I'm just like them. So, I'm normal. Like everyone can see something of me in them, especially within my neighborhood.
Cool. So you're sort of an out and proud super.
Yeah, I think I also like do plenty of the sort of non-super, like mix up the superhero with the non-super stuff, like the whole kind of like, oh man, you got to check out these bagels, guys, like it's amazing kind of stuff. And my other one was I'm a firebrand, a rabble rouser, which I think that I'm one of those like, just say exactly what I think to the camera all the time, and publicly, piss people off and make friends and enemies in big bold motions.
Awesome. So which are the 2 advantages that you chose?
I can easily speak to them at any time, and I have a much wider audience, which I think both of them tie in with the idea that this being a, GoPro social media kind of like videos of people being uploaded. I can always speak to them because I've always, it's a 2-way system, right? Like social media, and wider audience is, maybe I've gone viral beyond the neighborhood.
Like, yeah, exactly. So Spider-Man taking photos, Peter Parker taking photos, selling them to J. Jonah Jameson. He should just have like a Twitch channel, right? Every time he fights Doc Ock, mega likes. Grand. And the demands that the audience make on you?
Constant stimulation. You got to keep that content coming. and novelty and brand new action. If I'm going to keep this up, I need to make sure that I'm not just repeating yesterday's hits.
Okay, so and to keep an eye on this for everyone's benefit, the audience effectively have influence over the star playbook, and they can affect and tell that person who they are, trying to change or hit labels. Good. Okay, so that's our 4 characters. Thank you for that. Getting a feel of them already. I want to sort of before we come back and do the background characters, want to do 1 or 2 sort of establishing questions and sort of start setting up some feel around the city to give us some tone around this. So what you'll see in the character keeper is like a session 0 questions. I don't answer all of them yet, but I do want to answer the first 2 before we come back to your characters a little. This will help us bring the neighborhood to life. Okay. So in the last game I ran in my sort of spin-off non-Gauntlet City Masks universe, we had Union City is the city that we are in. Look, where we are is effectively like the lower west side of New York. Union City was sort of like a modern shining metropolis, one of the biggest cities in the US. It is sort of, I suppose, an amalgam of New York and Metropolis from sort of DC Comics. Okay, so we will be in an area of the city which is the lower west side of the city, and if you know New York, this would have been like effectively Greenwich Village and Tribeca, but we have got the Triangle, which is the less gentrified, more ethnically diverse area, and then we've got the Village, which has been entirely gentrified over the last decade or so. What I want to sort of get an idea is your character Village or Tri-Town, and where in the each of those 2 places, where do you hang out? What's your favorite place or thing to do here? And I'm going to go back in reverse order. This time I'm going to zigzag back. I'm going to ask Will to start for me, please.
Okay, so what were the 2 options again? I'm sorry.
It's either Village or Tri-Town. Oh, actually, just before we do that, how old is everyone's character? Can I get that view? Because I think there's a spread of ages here, and I don't think I've quite got them. Let me go back through those to begin with. So Will, how old is Dynamic?
Somewhere between 18 and 19.
Cool.
So like, whichever, it doesn't really matter. But
that's fine. But you're
first year out of high school, basically.
Yeah, got you. Laura, for Jem?
I think that Jem is like 16 and 3/4, coming up on 17, but they're very insistent on that 3/4.
Awesome. Pavel, how about Cyrus?
He just left the secondary education, which I'm not very well versed with how it is on the other side, the side of the ocean. I think he should be 18.
Cool. I think that's about right. Yeah.
It'd be the same age as Dynamic.
Yeah. Go in.
Oriflam's 17, and very deliberately is playing hooky in high school.
Okay, so it's sort of between 16 and 19. So that starting to grow up fast part of teenage and young adulthood. Awesome. That's very important, because if you're playing a 12-year-old, you don't want 16-year-olds hitting on them. It doesn't look good. Let's do that. So, well, as I said, you've got the Triangle, which I say is there's a bridge that connects out to the side of the city here. It's tall tenement blocks. It's a diverse ethnic community. I have established in Union City as well that there are aliens who live in the city. There may or may not be those that here. We'll sort of go through that. But the Village is much more heritage. It has traditionally had more wealth and money in it, and is a more to-do area, right? So you're Tri-Town.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got ambitions to have like a cool place in the Village, or are you Tri-Town all the way through?
Tri-Town for life, yeah. Got to my idea is we're going to build build a nice penthouse at that abandoned building. You know, one day when we get rid of the property developers and we clean these streets up, it's going to be Tri-Town's going to look down on the village like it always
Cool.
should have done.
And what's your favourite place or thing to do in Tri-Town?
It is the arcade with the Dance Dance Revolution machine that I can make supercharged with my electrodynamic control.
So I'm going to suggest that the arcade is on the riverfront, close to the docks.
Mm-hmm.
Is it still well maintained, or is this something that was cool a number of years ago, but you still can't move on?
I think that it was faded, but I think that one of the aspects of the star is the buzz around me has sort of brought this back a bit, kind of thing. It's now a busy place.
Cool. So we know that Dynamic hangs out there. If everyone wants to make a secret bet to themselves how many sessions it will be before there's a big fight here, note it down now. Lara, what about Jem? Is she from Tri-Town or the village?
I'm thinking Tri-Town. Being born and raised, never has really gotten out much.
Mm-hmm.
Tri-Town is all they know.
So really local to the neighborhood. And where does either sort of for Jem or for Knox, what's important? What their favorite place where they hang out here in the city?
I think there's this like little bookstore that's kind of like it's very niche. It's very like out of the way. Only locals would know it. But I think that it's small, but it's got loads of books, and I think that's where Jem spends most of their time when they're not doing school, caring for Kitty, that kind of thing.
Cool. So what's it called?
I think it's called Books and Stuff, for lack of imagination at the moment.
Yeah.
If people have other ideas, please feel free. But I'm only on my first cup of coffee, so.
That's no problem. Okay. What about Quiver, Pavel? Is he village or Tri-Town?
I'll need a little bit of explanation. Gentrified village, you mean that the poor are pushed out by the increasing cost and that the wealthy move in, or?
Yeah, that's tends to what we mean by gentrification, where effectively it's been money has come in, developers have made it. I suppose, yeah, increasingly safe and sanitized, yeah, poorer communities have probably been pushed out towards Tri-Town or further out.
Okay, because I was unfamiliar with this term. Yes, I think Cyrus definitely is from the village. Then are we thinking like 2-3 story buildings, or are we thinking like these are like all single houses?
So you often see in that sort of architecture, I suppose you have what's referred to the brownstone or the townhouse, which would be like a 2 or 3 story main door house that people would come in or out of, whilst as I say, Tri-Town will be more tenements, so you've got stairs and smaller apartments.
Yeah, I definitely think like the village.
Mm-hmm.
Although Cyrus' favorite hangout spot is, I think, a skate park in Tri-Town, because in village there is nothing like this, and he really likes to hang out with people, probably that's where he first smoked some pot or maybe drink a beer. So yeah, it's a skate park.
Does it have a name?
I would like to call it the boiler because I think this is like place where people from all ethnicity came and do the skating and riding the bicycles and everything. But because of this, there are also some gang and some extortion going on. So I would call it the boiler.
The boiler. Cool.
I totally envisioned it that it is probably in between some tri-town really tall buildings, like
Yeah.
the atrium, like something like this.
Of course, it's like a vertical, like a skate park. It's just in the air kind of thing, like a
What? I'm
like a
not sure.
rooftop skate park or something.
I'm thinking like a ground skate park. I'm not sure what you mean, like skate park hanging in the
Oh,
air.
I thought you meant like it was across, like, you know, it was like built on top of like a building kind of thing. That would be so cool. But
we can extend it. Maybe there are some, because I think it depends from how common are superpowers in our town. If there are more superpowered people, but they are not like all superheroes or supervillains, maybe the skate park is like extended to have some apart for those who are able to get there, like those who can skate super fast or jump super high.
I think I just misunderstood. Maybe it's just a ground level one. Like, I'm not sure I want to live in. It's up to everyone, of course, but I'm not sure how much I want to live in thingy, like, you know, a place where superheroes and superpowers are just sort of like here is the supers lift, here is the, like, you know.
Because otherwise, I don't think skate park could be anywhere high because the
health and safety would be a nightmare. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that skate park on the side of the building in Dread.
Let's keep it, as I say, it's sort of hidden in the edges of Tri-Town, but probably not too far from the village.
Awesome.
I'm thinking, like, you know, I've got this view now that, as well as the skater kids who go from both areas, you get the preppy kids from the village who'll come down there to taste what it is to be living in a real dangerous place and get their fixes. Love it. It's real colour. Thank you there. And Gerwin, for Oriflame, are you Tri-Town or village?
Originally from Tri-Town, but currently lives in a squat in the village. Sorry, originally from the village, but currently lives in a squat in Tri-Town.
Cool, love it. Do you live alone?
I try to keep away from people because I don't want them nicking my my gadgets. I don't want them getting onto the street and other people misusing them.
So maybe when we're saying a squat, I think Tri-Town is sort of the village is well developed. Is this somewhere like, you know, you've taken over someone's house because like this is their second home and these guys are off living in?
No, I think that part of the actual Tri-Town area was damaged during Madame Blanco's.
Got it.
And a lot of the building, quite a few of the buildings there have actually been condemned.
Love it.
And he's actually living out of one of those buildings.
Awesome, love it. And where is your favorite hangouts, Oriflame?
Equally, going back to the attack that Madame Blanco had, there was a Tri-Town was basically used as a feeder for the local docks.
Mm-hmm.
But the local docks have been pretty much wiped out during that attack. And there's a warehouse that's actually in the docks themselves that's now become an illegal rave. Novak shipping.
Novak. Cool. Who runs that rave, if not you?
I think it's run by someone who goes by the moniker Madam Percy.
Madam Percy. Excellent. Grand. So start getting and building some color around this. Again, as we've seen you places or things, the city, we will add them in, but I wanted it to give us a feeling of the space we are in. Look, and to be clear, almost, I don't expect anything really to go outside Tri-Town and the village in terms of the scope of the story that we are telling, just to set that. Okay, let's now go through some of the background questions and establish the ones we haven't answered. Look, we're going to go through player by player, complete the backstory questions, and then take our first break this morning. Okay, we'll fill the second question I put in the character sort of formation, sort of the opening question session 0 later on, but to sort of set the context, the Titans are probably Union City's greatest superhero team. Again, this takes place 6 months later, so not connected into the other story. The characters will not come back or forth. Maybe some of the sort of NPCs in the city might. But Madame Bancho was an enemy of one of the Titans. They effectively they almost took over the city. There was a huge fight that sort of spilled out of the neighboring sort of sub-town in the city called A-Town, which is a number of sort of, again, subset of different Asian communities living together. The villains came out, and as we've established here, some damage was done. We'll figure out what was taken from you. But the neighborhood, and predominantly, not only, but predominantly, Tri-Town took a kicking when this went down. We will sort of establish what damage was done in a little while. But let's now go through our characters and sort of set some stuff up if we haven't already done that. So Dynamic, I think we've already answered the question. When did you first appear on screen? But we know you appeared on sort of your own Twitch stream, but do you appear on mainstream media or not?
I think there's been a few of those sort of like clumsy pieces by the mainstream media about like, and here's the new rising star from blah 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 and kind of thing, and like completely not getting the audience. When you watch the BBC talk about Minecraft.
Cool. So you're not really known in mainstream. It's all very much you're on that sort of social influencer side of things, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. How do you tell people about how you got your superpowers?
I tell people that I haven't really given any thought to how I got my superpowers. I tell people a different story all of the time about how I got my superpowers. Like I continuously change it to, I am the last son of a dying race sent here to bring peace. And then to like, nah, man, I'm just joking. Of course, I got these powers from my lab that I have in my basement. What are you talking about? I haven't got a lab in my basement. What kind of an idiot are you? I live in a high rise. Like, it's just continuously changing. And I think he's just like Knox is someone who just spontaneously develops superpowers, or perhaps I got it in the fallout of whatever large event has hit Union City in the past, kind of stuff.
Okay, awesome. Who outside of the team supports your burgeoning star everywhere possible?
My cousin Jeff, who is like my producer, my my promoter, my number one guy, basically. Like he's invested in the brand as well, kind of thing.
Okay, so got any other family?
Yeah, I think I've got parents who I get along with well enough, who are sort of like baffled but vaguely proud.
And do they live in Tri-Town as well?
They do live in Tri-Town, although I think that Dad is looking to retire to a retirement place down in Florida soon. Get out of the city, finally trade this riverfront for a beachfront.
Excellent. Who outside the team loathes what you represent?
Oh, some sort of established superhero. Like the sort of the Supermanish type person of the city, kind of thing. Or if there's,
Okay.
you know what I mean, like the most corporate kind of. If we are a city where there are, a bit like Gauntlet City or the Super or Marvel, like
Mhm.
it'd be this sort of the Iron Man or the, the approved kind of established.
Cool. Okay, so loathe is a big word. What have you done to have someone who's a big scale flying around, saving the world superhero loathe you? Dynamic.
Oh man, I stole their spotlight. Clearly.
That's what you think happens, but no.
Yes, yeah, of course. But...
No, I'm going to push you on that. That's what you think happens, but there's a, the Titans ain't going to worry about a kid getting their fame on. What did you do?
I do. Is there a technological person in the Titans?
Yeah, there's a character called Servo.
I clearly
sort of like the Vision.
Yeah, I clearly unleashed some sort of EMP type effect, which was spectacular and like huge lights and everything, and did some minor good, but in doing so, completely took out Servo.
So they think you're reckless and dangerous, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'd like to probably position that you sort of came in to help in a big scale super fight and probably caused set this off, stop the thing, but allowed someone to get away. I think that sort of sets up a tension there.
Yeah, and I'm like, what? It's not my fault you were sleeping on the job server. Like, come on.
Cool, got it. And why do you care about the team?
Why do I care about the team? I don't think I know enough about the team, to be perfectly honest, to answer that question. Yeah, but I would probably aim for something about like on the warmer side of it, like not being cynical about them and think them as like stepping stones, but more along the lines of they're there to help. They want to help too, kind of stuff.
Let's come back and that's cool. But we'll come back and clarify that at the end. Maybe I'll ask that question, everyone, at the very last question, all the way through. So, Jem and Knox as the Janus. If anyone's got any questions for anyone as they are asking questions as well, do feel free to chip in. But Jem as the Janus, the first question we want to establish for Knox is why did you put on that mask and become Knox, and when did you first do it?
So I was kind of imagining it happened about let's say when I was about like 10, 11, that kind of time. It was really beginning, like my powers were really beginning to manifest then. And I guess I started putting on my mask just, it was dress up. It was kind of fun. And I mean, I was excited about maybe becoming a superhero. That's cool. But I never imagined it would actually pan out to be anything. And now look where we are.
Cool. So, why do you keep a secret identity?
So at first it just kind of happened. I mean, I had gone out on my first mission, as it were, and it's what I wore. But then it kind of developed into more, and it became more like, it was, the big part of it was they weren't me. Like Knox was somebody who could really take charge of a situation, and I never could. And I liked that.
Neat. I mean, I've got to ask. Then hanging out with Dynamic, who's all totally my face is out there. I'm Dynamic, ain't I cool? How does Knox? How does what's that? I'm interested in that relationship in a bit between Knox and Dynamic. But just give me what is Knox's thoughts about someone who lives out there like that?
I mean, I think that there's this simultaneous like awe, and it makes Knox very nervous. I mean, I think that like they can't imagine having that kind of confidence to do that. So yeah, I think it's just kind of like an awe.
Having a Star and a Janice in the group, I think really I do want to play against those inherent tensions as we see them unfold, but just too good not to. But who outside of the team knows about your dual identity?
So I think Kitty, my little sister, does. It's us against the world. It always has been, and I think that it would be kind of hard to hide this from her. I think she was really excited when I first really began to develop my powers. But I think she was more excited than I was.
How old is Kitty currently?
So I'm 16 3/4, so that would make her about let's go with 12.
Cool. Is she the sort of person who is likely to try and follow you around, or is she bratty and will threaten to tell your parents? What's the sort of relationship you have with her?
I think we have a pretty good relationship, pretty solid. I mean, we're basically best friends, but I mean, I do think that she thinks the world of Jem.
So it's more likely she's likely to stand up and defend you and get ourselves into trouble, that sort of way. Good. I understand the relationship you want to go for. Who thinks the worst of your masked identity?
So I think that this is a guy I know in school. I think he's from the village, and I think his name is Zane Billingsby. He just seems kind of generally unaware of the world around him and very caught up in his own world, and just thinks that Knox is just a coward for hiding in the shadows all the time.
Was there sort of a confrontation or something that Knox got involved with Zane that would have caused that feeling?
I don't know. That would make sense because it's pretty strong sentiments that Zane is holding towards Knox. Yeah, actually, I think that Knox actually saved him from. It was an embarrassing thing though for Zane. I think that he was kind of maybe he got like stuck on like I don't know, the top of a Ferris wheel or something at the carnival that came into town or something, and he's really afraid of heights, and so he started bawling. Knox came down to save him, and then he was like really resentful about it.
Cool. So he's sort of that jockish douche bro, and couldn't handle this happening. I hate him already. And we'll come back and do the why do you care about the team question in a little while. Let's now ask of Cyrus Quiver your background stories. I think we've answered how did you gain your skills, but is there anything else you want to add to that, Quiver?
I'm kind of building up for this maybe conflict because we'll see to it. Like Cyrus' dad, whom I named Zach Kilgore, is a successful businessman, and he really wants Cyrus to perform as well as he wants. I totally think that maybe Cyrus' dad, Zach, has some shady business. Maybe he's secretly the Jason Frisk. Who knows? But so far he paid for this because he thinks Cyrus just wants to spend some time. And yeah, that's what I will add to it.
Lovely. Yeah, I think there's no maybe he's into shady business. You planted that idea in my head. He is into shady business, and it's all your fault for giving me that idea. But we'll we'll pull down that there. Is he present? Is he around a lot? Your dad, or is this does he spend stuff or just give you what you want because he's not really around?
Yes, I think he's this kind of dad who is not really around because he's doing his successful business.
Yeah, cool. Got it. So he's sort of an absentee father. He's paid for someone to give you archery lessons. Doesn't know how talented you are.
Yes, and I totally think that he maybe wants good for Cyrus. Like he probably wants Cyrus to be like a legit doctor or something. But yeah.
Look, I've just literally got chills on my back for the fun of putting those two against each other. Right, that's going to be great. When did you first put on your costume? What changed this? Why did you want to become a superhero? Who sort of convinced you to do that?
So you put on this gray ghost who was our crime fighter and is vanished. And ever since the crime was like growing and growing and growing, and Cyrus thought that maybe this is the time that the right people like me rise up and fill in the space as the gray ghost is gone and the Titans are busy in the big town. So he first put on his costume when there was some messy drug deal going wrong in the boiler, and people were shooting, people were running, and he's sort of like a Superman. He has his costume under his clothes, so he just remove his clothes, and there was his costume, and he joined in the fight to save some people.
Excellent.
And this is like, this is the thing that he wants to do, not what his dad wants him to do. So that is very important for him.
Cool. Who outside of the team thinks you shouldn't be a superhero?
That is definitely my mom, Ellen, who is a very good housewife and is always worrying about Cyrus. And she probably have found me like wounded or something or has seen me put on the costume, and she knows the secret, and she isn't really happy about her lovely son, who's supposed to be a doctor, well educated, fighting crime alone, but with this bow. So yeah, she knows.
Why won't she tell your dad?
I asked her not to tell him, and I really begged her not to tell him because that's what I want, and I told her that I want to make something of myself, not to do everything that wants.
So does she think you're still dressing up as Quiver, or does she think you've stopped?
I think she knows, and because she made me promise that I will play it safe and not get killed, and I promised. So it's kind of like it's really tough, but I'm trying to not to get myself killed in the big boys fight.
I'm sort of picturing that the Quiver probably did something that saved your mom, or the church trip outing, or something that sort of meant that she has this, though she's not happy, she knows you can look after yourself. So I think
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Maybe someone wanted to steal my mom's car. And I was just like out there, and I just, busted them out, and I really shown my mom that I'm filling the space that is really needed, that is empty currently.
Yeah, so there's a carjacking, and you sort of stopped that from happening, and so she's worried, but knows you're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does your mom know about your dad's shady dealings?
I don't think so. I don't want to judge her inner sense. She might be suspecting, but she definitely doesn't know the details.
And is she Zach Kilgore's first wife?
I'm wondering how this will picture into bigger conflict. I think not.
So is she like your mom or your stepmom?
Let's play with it. I think it's a stepmom.
Sweet. Fun. Why are you trying to be a hero? I think we may have established that. But is there anything else you want to add?
I think, to reiterate, he just wants to do something what he wants, and he wants to do something that is really needed in the neighborhood. He really wants the neighborhood to be a better place. Totally idealistic superhero motivation.
Awesome. So Oriflame is the delinquent. I think we've established how you've got your powers. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, that's pretty much
it. What does Oriflame do for fun, other than the rave, or anything more than that?
The rave, but Oriflame's very interested in political theory. So I think there's a reading group actually at Books and Stuff in the back room.
Love it.
And one of his prized possessions, and is in fact something that he actually carries with him, is a pocket copy of Ethics by not Aristotle. It was whichever Greek philosopher that wrote Ethics.
I did a joint honours degree in ethics and philosophy, and I can't remember myself. I'll check that in a minute because that will bug me. Right, cool. So that's pretty neat, and that sort of gives us that tied location. Love it. Who outside the team thinks better of you than you do?
I think that's Mike Kovac, who runs runs Books and Stuff. He's very much been pushing me to be more forthright in how I do things, and actually bringing about proper systemic change rather than just dealing with individual symptoms as I go.
So he's sort of like that mentor figure trying to keep you on that straight and narrow, that it's not okay to just strike out. You've got to build it back up. That sort of.
Basically, yes. It's one thing to tear things down, but if you've got nothing to put in its place, then it's pointless.
How did you come to meet him?
I think when I first ran away from home, because I've ran away from home multiple times. He basically found me on the street and took me in, gave me some food, gave me a hot drink, and had one of his chats with me, and I think that's where it started.
So he sort of give you food, a place to stay. Do you work at the shop?
No, I very much live off what I steal from others.
Okay, but I think he's probably offered you a job in the past, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'll help you. I'll give you a job. We'll get you off straight now. Does he know? Does he know that that Isabel is Oriflame?
I think so, yes.
And what does he think of Oriflame?
He doesn't approve. Again, he thinks that I'm putting myself at risk to deal with the symptoms, rather than actually bringing about, rather than bettering myself and putting myself in a position where I can bring about proper social change. Yeah,
can I sort of suggest that what he thinks is you're not living up to your potential. That stealing from crooks and smash and grabs from the rich isn't going to solve the society's injustices. So he's really into that point and believes you can do more and pushes you.
Very much so, yes.
Because that'll allow us to have that sort of.
He's been trying to get me involved in local politics. Actually, on a district level.
Okay, so I think in that case he's sort of like, if you're like a city elder, and this sort of.
Well, I think he's running for alderman of Tri-Town.
So there's alderman elections are coming up. Got you, love you. Thank you for that. So why do you try to be a hero? The hero, at least that you are at the moment. What makes you? I mean, you got the cool powers. Could have gone down that supervillain route, right? Why be the good guy and ish, and not the bad guy?
It comes down to his conscience. It very much is a fact of he gets angry and frustrated when he sees people being taken advantage of. I think it comes about a lot of times because he feels guilty because he's from the village, really, and growing up he had a lot of advantages that other people didn't have. Mm-hmm. And in fact, I think he actually had made a friend in Tri-Town, and it's that relationship that basically pushed that, seeing the disparity between one side of the tracks and the others.
Cool. So now I'm going to go back around and ask that why do you care about the team question, and then we'll take our break for this morning. So I'm going to go back across to dynamic and see if now we know a little bit more about the heroes, if there's a reason why you care about this team.
I care about this team because they clearly need some leadership, some direction, some turning them. Like Oriflame, like great ideas, doing good, but like she could definitely turn it better. Nox needs to just step up and just step out of those shadows, baby. And Quiver, like, hey, I see a lot of potential there. So we can really help it, and we can look good doing it.
Nox, same question to you. Why do you care about the team?
I mean, I don't think that Nox has ever had real friends before. So yeah.
Poor Nox. Quiver? Why do you care about the team?
because they're actually people with superpowers doing something for the good of the society. And besides, Oriflame is setting a really good example, and hanging out of dynamic. Maybe I will be also slightly more popular and get some girlfriend or something. It's cool. being in a YouTube video you're with him. Yeah, awesome.
Awesome. And same question: why do you care about the team to Oriflame?
I very much see the team as the starting of an army to basically be able to bring about a wider movement.
Excellent. Look, I really love that we've got strong characters with conflicting agendas. This is going to be great fun to role play with. Look, it's just coming up to the hour now, so let's take a break and come back on the hour. When we come back on the hour, we'll do some more establishing questions, and then the relationship and influence questions after that. Okay, so I'll see you back on the hour, folks. Let's sort of like just show an opening scene for every character so we get a feel of their look and who they are and what, imagine that this is Free Comic Book Day and there's like a 12-page intro comic introducing the new heroes of Tri-Town. And what I'd like us to do is sort of get a feel of your character where we first encounter them and what they're doing. I really strongly advocate in Masks that you should tell and describe and paint scenes as if it was a page in a comic book, right? We almost should be almost thinking that we're the reader looking down at this cool book. And how that influences, youthful kids or adults reading books. And probably the reason we want to play superhero games is because we read a comic at a formative age and made us love that art form and way of telling stories. So do feel to print scenes, say it's a panel, it's a double-page splash. I'm a big believer in thought bubbles, all that type of stuff is great. But I think this is 3 days after the mayor had that accident and went off the side of the bridge. It is the night before that. It's the night before that Handsome Charlie goes on trial. On that night, where do we see Dynamic and what are they doing?
Dynamic is I think Dynamic is at a that's America, isn't it? So drinking age is 21.
Legally, yeah, but
legally, yeah. Well, then he is
got a false ID.
Yeah, I got a false ID, but also very well known. And I think it's a very kind of like wink, wink, nudge, nudge situation. A bar that is happy to have local celebrity Dynamic, and he's he's hanging out, shaking hands, like the TV's on in the background with the sort of local news about the upcoming trial of Dandy Dan kind of thing.
So as you're in this bar and it's almost inevitable as they're not giving you free drink, they're not serving you alcohol, but your wings are free, right? That's the way it works. You don't tend to have to eat it, pay for it, your evening meal. Someone will always be happy to have you in. But this trio of guys have been egging themselves on and looking at you for a while, and one of them steps up from the table and walks towards you. They're bigger than you, they're more muscular, and they're go, you some kind of superhero or something?
Kinda, yeah. You some kind of gym waitress or something?
That smart mouth gonna get you a beat down, buddy.
Well, so far it's just got me into your sister's pants.
Oh, there is. He goes, "What do you say?" And he takes a swing at you.
he is wearing a big signet ring,
Yeah, sure.
and Dynamic is going to just like hold up his hand and just hold the magnet with the magnetic power, hold the signet ring, like lurch it away. So he just stumbles back over and proper overextends and swings past me and stumbles over the table.
Okay, so you're trying to reshape the environment with your powers.
Yeah.
So in Masks terms, that would be unleash your powers.
Cool. When I directly engage a threat with that would be directly engaging a threat. Yes. So let me just bring up the roll for party. Sorry, I have not got that open. That's in safety if anyone needs it.
Yeah.
I roll 2d6.
You do.
Plus my freak.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a 7.
So on a 7 to 9 with unleash your powers, you mark a condition, and I'm going to tell you how the effect is unstable or temporary.
I am, I'll go with the unstable or temporary. Why not? Powers going out of control seems perfect.
Look, you think what you do is you hit that signet ring and grab it with magnetic powers. You go a little bit too far, and we see the scene of this guy on the signet ring on the fan in the bar being swung around, going yeah, and everyone looking at. But you can sort of see them sort of starting to come away from the metal as they've shot up there. Let's flip the page, where we see Nox for the first time. Where's Nox?
Now, is this Nox or Gem?
Whichever you would like it to be, Laura. Please establish whichever aspect of that character you would like.
Okay, yeah. So then I think in this case it's going to be Gem.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you see Gem kind of tucked away in a little corner. The art is kind of it's like the outlines of Gem are kind of hazy, like almost like a sketch, more like not super solid lines. And then I think that you see Gem kind of like curled up with a book. It's an old looking thing. Maybe I think that it's a book by is it okay if it's by Karl Marx?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So yeah, he's reading or they're reading that, and I think that you see. So I think that when Jen gets kind of excited, I like the idea that their powers kind of like begin to fade in and out. So I think that you see parts of Jem kind of like with the shading, like they kind of like disappear into shadows and reappear, and like you get different like snapshots of that.
Cool. Does Jem have her own room? Does she share with Kitty?
Yeah, I think that she shares with Kitty. I think that they have bunk beds, but like Kitty always like ends up sleeping with Jen anyway, so it's kind of moot.
So I think Kitty looks over at you reading the book and says, "It's like, you're such a nerd."
I think Jem kind of looks up over her glasses and it's like, huh?
Cool. I don't think I've got a specific role for you there. I think that just sort of establishes the character as we see them, and we turn over the page to see Quiver.
Yes. So I think the first page in a couple of panels shows us someone's attempt at filming Cyrus on a BMX bicycle doing some tricks, but they are all like off, or someone's like making the photo of himself, or there's like the end of the bike and not the full Cyrus, and then the thought bubble shows like Cyrus is like really angry at someone, and what are you doing? You were supposed to film me how I'm doing the cool tricks. How am I gonna get this onto my YouTube channel? But then we see some like side bubble, and it says we should go. They are coming, and then on the other their panel we we see some thugs going through and the scene was obviously in the boiler. And then on the other side, we see like a couple of thugs going through the boiler and trying to like extort some cash from people who are still over there, cycling, skating, and other stuff. And and we see this time Quiver in his ridiculous purple uniform, purple and green, purple and blue, with his mask and his like the full quiver of arrows on his back. He doesn't have any facial hair. He's not very tall, not the biggest, but we've seen him over there, and he's like cranking the big guy on his shoulder and looking tough and cool.
Okay, so this is likely to take place like in the boiler, right? Which is
yes.
we established. So I think we've got this figure. This guy turns around. We see the bulge at the back of their trousers pants that they've got a pistol tucked into their belt, and he sort of turns around. And he's got small little plastic pouches with white powder in it, and he looks around in you and says, "Who are you supposed to be?"
Well, good sir, I am Quiver, and this skate park is under my protection. So unless you want to end up like the others, a couple of days ago, you should leave now. We don't want this powder over here.
So I thought this is an example of trying to provoke someone, because you're trying to get them to step out before they escalate into violence. So provoke is done with superior.
I was leaning towards my beacon move, pretty much a superhero. I think let's elevate this guy to be someone important if he's selling drugs over here.
Yeah. I'll put him as a sort of a again a member of one of the drug gangs, right? So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my move is unless you want to go with the provoke, I'm open up with.
Oh, go with your playbook move. Playbook moves are always more fun.
So when I bring my superhero name to someone important for the first time, roll plus savior. Let's see. 6 + 2, it's 8. When I spend 9, the GM will tell you something else they've heard and pick a second label. Oh, this will be complicated. So on a hit, they've heard of you, say which of your exploits they have heard about and which label they think applies. So it's quite complicated, that move. I think they might have heard of me saving the mayor 3 days ago. And this label which applies, I think savior. It makes sense.
Cool. But you also mentioned that you roughed up some of the other guys in the park, so he also thinks you're dangerous, and looks at you and at the preppy kid he was selling the drugs to, and he goes, "This is your place, Quiver. I'm stepping out. I won't deal here, but I'm going to tell my boss about you."
Good. And he's like standing like, good. I will deal with your boss when he comes here. Mm-hmm.
I absolutely am in love with a superhero who is the hero of the skate park, right? That's what they do. And Oriflame, last for you.
Okay, the scene we have, it goes to a single panel thing of 3 mobsters sitting around a table actually playing poker, and they're discussing the trial that's going ahead. There's a large amount of money on the table. They go through, play a few hands. It gets to a huge pile, and one of them basically calls and pushes forward a winning hand, and the other 2 just look disgusted. And as that mobster reaches forward to actually pull that money and all the stuff towards him, another copy of him walks through the main door. And there's this moment of, what the? And it does actually censor the F word.
Mm-hmm.
and it cuts back, and the illusion that Oriflam's been wearing to basically pose as this mobster basically falls apart. Hi guys, bye guys, and she reaches into her pocket and basically throws a flash bomb.
So you're trying to reshape your environment and get away, which would
I'm
be
trying to use my playbook move.
Oh, cool.
Which is, are you watching closely? When you mislead, distract, or trick someone, roll plus superior.
Cool.
So, oh goodness, I have no idea which of those dice are whose. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, choose a different color if you want to set up your own label so the room is ready for next time.
Okay. So let's go with purple. And let's roll them. So that would be an 8. So I get to choose 2 of the options.
Yep.
You confuse them for some time, and you get an opportunity. I will steal the money, and I'll use the actual confusion to try and get away.
That's absolutely fine. And then we'll flip to the last double or page of the comic, where we see Judge Torres sitting in their chamber and a shadowy figure standing over them and saying, it is essential that Handsome Charlie gets off on a technicality if you don't want that news to come out, Judge Torres. And then we see Judge Torres' eyes looking down in concern and worry. And we flip to the back cover of the comic and come to our conclusion for today.